High five. And some fighters. UFC President Dana White once. Compounding this weekend's championship silliness is the fact that Ngannou will be ready to compete before the end of the year, giving additional merit to the long-standing argument that most interim titles. An interim belt is a joke. But it's the UFC's decision, and if they want to do that, then good for them. They've got to sell pay-per-views. Miocic stopped Junior Dos Santos at UFC 211 back in May 2017, but didn't return to defend his title until the following January. Oddly enough, there was no dialogue about substitute straps and nobody from the UFC front office had to defend the champ's position. Surprising, considering the promotion's extensive history with interim heavyweight titles. I've had the interim belt before and that little interim specification bothers me, Carlos Condit told the media when looking back at his 170-pound run. My belt is in my son's room and for me that's not the real belt. If I go out there and I beat the champion, that would be a legitimate, undisputed UFC title belt and you can't reach any greater height in the sport. Bellator MMA is also guilty of hopping on the interim bandwagon. The fastest way to devalue the heavyweight title is to destroy its lineage. Instead of a finite timeline, we now have a championship multiverse where titles are popping up all over the place, creating alternate histories along the way. Champions should be expected to defend their titles within a reasonable amount of time and if they can't, or won't, they should be stripped. That might sound unfair to athletes who get injured or can't show up due to extraneous circumstances, but isn't that what it means to be champion? The idea of an interim title. It doesn't make me too happy, Sean Sherk told MMA Weekly back in 2007, following the announcement of this fight. I'll just have to fight whoever wins that fight. If somebody wants to wrap that belt around their waist and call themselves champion, I think it should be me. Otherwise, it's just a little fake belt. The UFC model of champion is not about what you've done or who you've beat, it's about timing, circumstances, and politics. Sometimes you just have to be in the right place at the right time and be savvy enough, or lucky enough to capitalize on it. Creating an interim title for Lewis vs. Gain suggests a victory at UFC 265, and becoming the clear-cut #1 contender, is not enough to promote this card or a future title fight against Ngannou, which is a shame when you consider the talent involved. Obviously I'm a giant fan of the UFC, I love them to death, UFC color commentator Joe Rogan said on his official podcast. I would never want to work for any other organization. But I don't like the way they do things. There are a lot of things I don't like. Some matchups don't make any sense. Interim titles are preposterous. Sorry, Neil. Punch the like button and kick the subscription bell.